Hi, I'm going to start installing a Curt 13437 trailer hitch onto my 2020 Subaru Outback. So I pulled up the instructions here at curtmfg.com, and you can put in 2020 Subaru Outback. You get a nice description of the items you need, and then I'm going to install it. So it says first you got to take out these little let's see if I can show you these little holders on the bumper trim. So I'm going to pop those out, and then we'll get to it. So I got one of them out. I was going to use a little plastic piece, but I ended up just using a little screwdriver, and it came out pretty easy. I'll see if I can get that, and then I just wiggle it out, and so I just have to do that 1, 2, looks like 3, 4, 5 times. So now I'm under the car, and I loosened up that trim piece. It doesn't specifically say whether this piece has to come all the way off. I really think it does. So there's some tabs up here. I got this one all the way loosened up, but it kind of has these little tabs all along. So I'm just there's a little toe piece that comes down on either side. So I've just been using a little plastic wedge to kind of pop those out. So I'm working on that. And then now you can see it pretty well. And then I'm going to get all those off. There's several of them, as you see down the row there. So now I got them all off except this center one. The center one, for some reason, has a little longer tab on it. I'll see if there's anything special needed because of that. Yep, I got that extra piece off the middle one there. No special technique needed because of that tab. As you can see, they have a little, let's see here if I can get this for you. There we go. They have a little indentation there, so you just have to push down, kind of down, to get that from the inside onto the car to get that off. Now that piece is off, and then it looks like that on the outside. But now I think I can get to this bumper part easier. Okay, the next thing I did was I loosened up the 3 bolts. Actually, there's 2 bolts and a nut, which you can see in there. Loosened those up on both sides. I used a socket wrench, this guy, and then turned out actually it was easier to use this wrench here to get the nut, because it was just hard to fit the socket. There just wasn't a lot of space in there. I have a bigger one too, which actually might be easier, just to get a little more torque to undo those nuts and bolts. They were on there pretty good, but actually I pushed my foot on that one to get it to loosen up on the exhaust side, just because it was a little tighter fit. But yeah, that worked well. Okay, so now I got I got the 2 bolts out and the nut. The bumper part doesn't fall down because it's held by that bolt there sticking out. So that's good. So I got them off both sides, and then we'll work on putting in the new hitch. You have to get that hitch up in there, which is a little tricky because it's kind of heavy, and you have to slip it in between the bumper. Let's see where we're showing you here. The bumper here, the bumper part, and then this is the gray part, and then the frame, and then the black part is the hitch. So then I had to get the bolts on there, and then the nut, and then I'm going to do the other side. But I used this styrofoam, whatever, just to kind of hold it in place, because I was working by myself. Otherwise, if you had a friend who was pretty strong, they could hold it up there for you. I was thinking Could even use a car jack and jack it up there, just because then it would be adjustable, but styrofoam's working for now. Here's the nuts. They do have these washers with these little, I don't know, kind of outcroppings here, so you got to get that the correct direction. Okay, so I got them all installed. There's you can see there's 3 bolts. These are the 2 bolts right here that replace the bolts you took out, and then right in there, let's see if I get my finger in there to point it. Right in here is the yeah, there you go. That's the nut that went over the bolt that stayed attached to the vehicle. And then there's obviously 3 on the other side. So it was a little tricky. I still have the paper in there, I gotta take it off, but to get it up in place and to get these bolts to line up so that they would go through the bumper frame, and the black is the hitch, and then into the frame. So the most difficult one is that one, the upper outer one. I started with that one. It's also, there's a little less because of this side. The left side has the exhaust, and then over here there's the little heat shield from the exhaust, so that's a little more challenging. So probably best to start getting this side on first, and then you go to the other side. Again, that upper outer bolt is a little bit difficult to get to line up perfectly due to the fact that you have to get the bumper frame hole lined up with the trailer hitch hole and then into the frame. So it's a little bit difficult to get it in there, at least for me it was. So that's a little bit of a trick, and a tricky part of it. Anyway, and then I got the hitches on there, and then I'll just gonna torque it to 90, I guess, foot-pounds per the instructions. I'm gonna borrow a friend's torque wrench, and then after I get that, I'll put the trim back. So the next thing I got a torque wrench, and I did 45 foot-pounds. I had a little bit of a hard time getting in to the one bolt just because of the size of the larger size of the torque wrench. So I just used the smaller wrench, and for the one I was able to get the 2-bolt, the torque wrench on this one, and then the nut over here. That was the one that I had a hard time getting my size torque wrenches. I'm sure there's different sizes, but I basically looked at the threads in the back and got it to be the same amount of thread showing. So I think it was pretty close. It was exact for 2 of them and darn close for the other ones. And now I'm just going to put that trim piece. So the next step is I'm just trimming this fascia piece that goes on the back. You have to take off 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches here. This is actually the bottom, so it's going to be on that side. It's just the left side of the car is what needs to be trimmed. So I'm trimming that out, and then I'll reinstall it. What that piece looks like. So there's the piece all cut out, and then I'm going to pop it in here onto the back. So I got the trim all put in, and hitch looks good, and it's a done deal.